Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So today I kind of want to talk about the steps that I take in order to find a multifamily deal, step by step, hopefully. Forgive me if I forget something because I talk off the top of my mind. But this is the kind of thought process that I would go through when I want to buy my next apartment complex whenever I'm ready. So the first one is you have to find a good deal, right? So there's many ways to find a good deal. You can look on LoopNet or Crexi. You could have your property manager give you some leads. You can work with a real estate broker. You can do direct mail or find off-market leads that way. So from my personal experience, haven't had much success with LoopNet. Most deals on LoopNet are not good. Most real estate brokers do not have good deals and their underwriting is terrible. And their performa oftentimes underestimates the expenses to inflate the value. The next one is the property manager. So I do throw it out to my property managers who are typically brokers as well to say, hey, if you know anyone that is interested in selling, please send the deal my way. And then the last one is, getting off market leads using direct mail. There's many ways to get, leads off market. You can, cold call, cold text, cold email, direct mail. For me, I love direct mail. I've had a lot of success with direct mail. So if you want to learn how to set up a direct mailing campaign, check out my other videos on my channel, or you can join a mentorship program. I help students set that up all the time. It's pretty easy and it's pretty passive. You just basically send out letters and wait for owners to respond to you. And, I had an owner respond to me 3.5 years later from a letter I sent, right? So this is what I love about direct mail. And it cuts the broker out of the equation. You can talk directly to the owner to build trust, to understand their motivations, and to hopefully get some off-market deals that are reasonable in price and maybe get some creative financing deals too, right? Once you build that trust. So step one is you basically find a deal. After you find the deal, now you have to underwrite the deal, right? So I have a video that's coming up before this that talks about how I underwrite deals in, under 5 minutes. And in a quick and dirty way, I basically would want a rent roll, and I would want something called a profit and loss statement for the past 12 months, also called a T12, right? So those are your first two documents that you're going to need to underwrite yourself. And this is what you're going to have to give to your real estate lender or real estate mortgage broker, right? So these are the two very common documents. So the rent roll just has a list of all the units, what the rent is, when the lease started, when the lease ends, what the security deposit is. The next document is a P&L statement that they have. So you have your income, your expense, your net operating income over the past 12 months. So what I look at is I just look at the income. So let's just say income is $100,000 a year. I look at the expenses, and the expenses should be 50% of the income as a general rule of thumb, right? So I would expect if I made grossed 100K in income, my expense is 50K. So my net operating income would be 50K. And at that point, you basically get your cap rate for your market. So given the interest rate is 7.5%, I assume between an 8 to a 10 cap in the markets that I invest in. I keep in mind I'm in the Southeast, Midwest area. But typically lenders told me if interest rate is 7.5%, the cap rate has to be higher than that as a safety and margin. Right? So let's just say in that same example, your income was 100K, your expense was 50K, which is 50%. Your NOI is 50,000, and let's use a 10 cap for ease of simplicity. And at that point, the value is 50,000 or $500,000, right? And at that point, what I do is I want to calculate my cash on cash return just to kind of eyeball it. I typically aim for about a 10% cash on cash return, give or take. So let's just say now I have my purchase price of $500,000. So assuming 25% down, 30-year amortized loan, and 7.5% interest rate. So at that point, I would know my down payment, I would know my loan, and then I would, basically calculate what my monthly debt service will be. And when I get my monthly debt service, whatever that is on a monthly basis, it has to be 25% less than my net operating income. So going back to that last example, if my NOI is $50,000 a year on a monthly basis, let's just make it easy, it's $4,000, right? So if it's $4,000, that is 25% greater than the monthly debt service, right, to qualify. So let's just say I for sake of simplicity, I'm not going to run the numbers, but let's just say um, let's say my debt service is $2,000. So now if my NOI is $4,000 and my debt service is 2,000, I have $2,000 a month in cash flow, right? So at this point, if I have 2,000 times 12, that's $24,000 a year in cash flow. And if I put 25% down of half a million, what is that? That's, I think, 125K. So now I take 24,000 divided by 125K to figure out what my cash on cash return is, right? So at that point, if it's greater than 10%, around 10%, it looks like it's a good deal, at least initially on numbers. So that's a quick and dirty way that I underwrite deals. And what I do is, okay, what's my cash on cash return? At that point, I look at, okay, what's my price per door or per unit? So let's say it's 50,000 per door per unit. And if my rent is $500, that's a 1% rule. Pretty bad, pretty good, right? Sorry, not pretty bad, pretty good. And then, so that's just another way. And I look at, okay, how much does it cost to build this unit brand new, right? Like, what does that cost look like? Um, so that's kind of a quick and dirty way I underwrite the deal. So now that I know what the lenders will probably underwrite the deal at, using the NOI divided by market cap rate. So I know what makes sense at a 10 cap, but then I also will analyze the deal to see what type of range of offer I can make, right? So at this point, you just have to look at that debt service coverage ratio of 1.25. So my NOI is 4,000, and then basically you just take 75% of that, and that's the most that your monthly debt service can be in order for it to qualify. So you just work backwards, right? So how much loan can I have in order to ensure that my debt service coverage ratio is 25% greater, or my NOI is 25% greater than my debt service coverage ratio. So you work backwards, and let's say you calculate a range. And for simplicity, I'm not running numbers, but for simplicity, for this concept, let's just say I can offer between $500,000 to $600,000. So now I know my range. So now at this point, you make an offer. So it's called an LOI, letter of intent. It's a non-binding agreement. So I would probably take my lowest offer, which is $500,000. Offer $500,000, draft up the LOI, quick one pager. Hey, offer price is this. My earnest money deposit is going to be like 1 to 3%. Typically, I try to do 1% if I could, but I go up to 3%. I'm going to do traditional financing on this deal. I'm going to need 30 days of physical due diligence and another 30 days of financial due diligence, something like that to close on the loan. And then, they'll basically sign the agreement or not. Let's just say they sign the agreement. At this point, I would draft up the purchase and sale agreement. So this one is a standard template for the most part in most states. So like, for example, in Oklahoma, you can literally Google commercial real estate purchase and sale agreement in Oklahoma, and you can find this template. It's typically about 10 pages. You can review it, fill in the blanks, and then go for that. Or if it's in Alabama where it's a title attorney state, then you want to engage a title attorney, and they might have some templates that you could use, right? So it really depends what type of state. And even if they're standard contracts or not, it's up to you if you want to pay for the expense of an attorney. Really up to your comfort level, whatever gives you peace of mind. That's what you do, right? So now I submit my offer, and now I'm under a contract, right? So I submit that contract to title, and this is when the due diligence begins. I have about 3 to 5 business days to do my earnest money deposit to escrow, and then I want to start my inspections. So I would, schedule the inspector to inspect all units, right? Yes, all units. If you have 20 units, 100 units, 50 units, inspect all of them, right? Don't sample it, inspect all of them. That's what I recommend, because it just takes one unit that you miss that can make or break your deal. So I'd rather know up front what to expect. And at this point, once I do my inspections, during inspection day, I try to be there. My property manager should be there. My general contractor should be there. And so I can know how much it's going to cost for me to fix these things up and what needs to be fixed and what rents can I get, right? So at that point, and one step that I skipped, sorry, excuse me, before the offer is like, what's the upside potential on this deal, right? So if I know that, let's just say the average rent is $500, but I know I could double the rents to $1,000 after spending $10,000 per door to renovate it, then I can calculate what my anticipated value is going to be. So what I typically do is, let's just say I know I can market rent is $10,000 per door, and it's 20 doors. So my income is $20,000. Um, basically $20,000 a month for that property, right? So at that point, you times that by 12 to get it for a year. So that's what is that? 240K. And let's just say my expense is 50% of that for simplicity. So 120K is expenses. I have 120K NOI. And if assuming it's the same 10 cap market, the upside potential is about $1.2 million, right? So let's just say for sake of this example, I know I bought it for $500,000. I'm putting in, roughly $10,000 per door. So that's $200,000 all in. So I'm all in for $700,000. And now it's going to be worth $1.2 million, right? So if that's a new value based on the new rents, and if I want to know if I can do a huge cash out refinance or a BRRRR method to pull my money out, then you just take 1.2 million, times that by 0.75, which is your new loan, right? And then you take that and you subtract your current loan, and whatever is left over, hopefully you're getting your down payment back, and hopefully you're getting your renovation money back. And that's how you pull out money, get your money back, and then buy another property, right? So I want to at least analyze that beforehand before I pick the offer, so I know what my upside potential is, right? So sorry, going back to the inspections. Basically, we do the inspections, and then at that point, if it checks out, during simultaneously, you're working with your lender, and you're giving them documents, right? Your T12, the rent roll, what's your pro forma plan, what's your business plan, what's your experience, what are your tax returns, what does all that look like, right? They may ask for like, oh, who covers for utilities, all this stuff. So they're gonna ask you a bunch of questions as you go through. Then now, once you take over the property and you close, now your property manager has to go in and basically notify all tenants, get new leases in place, or update the leases to the property manager's format. And if you want to start renovation, you start your renovation plan, right? So I know I skipped quite a bit and went through a lot. Try to keep this video short, but that's kind of the steps that I take to get my first multifamily deal when I'm ready, right? And you spend most of your time, honestly, in the first couple phases of you're just constantly underwriting deals, making offers, looking at the upside potential, right? And you just keep on making offers, sending out direct mail, and being persistent. And if you do that consistently for like 6 to 12 months at least, that's when you start to get good deals, right? So it requires patience. Anyways, hopefully you found value from this video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. If you're interested in joining the Making Multifamily Money mentorship program, check out my link down below. If you send me an email, I'm happy to drop you a discount code. Anyways, please like this video, comment, subscribe, and hope to see you next one. Thank you.